Activism and political engagement have always been a part of the inner workings of Black sororities and fraternities. One of their own, Vice President Kamala Harris, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, the AKAs, is running for the nation's highest office. The Divine Nine is using its political power and its 2.5 million members to lead what it's calling an unprecedented, nonpartisan voter registration, education, and mobilization campaign. Reporter Renee Marsh with the mission.
3, 2, 1.
A picture of political power. These are members of the so-called Divine Nine. Nine historically Black fraternities and sororities formed more than a century ago when Black people couldn't join white organizations. The Divine Nine has been a force in movements from civil rights to voting rights, and they say their political strength will make history once again this election.
Day one, Kamala Harris kicks off with an army. Look at just this force in this room.
Kamala Harris joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in 1986 at Howard University, making her one of the 2.5 million members of the Divine Nine. CNN sat down with a room full of Divine Nine members speaking in their own capacity and not on behalf of their organizations. They're aware of their potential political influence this election, and they're excited to wield it.
2.5 million strong. Now look at how we can reach out to our families, our friends, our churches.
We are the Girl Scout leaders. We are the Boy Scout leaders. We represent every facet of Black America.
We are credible messengers. We have been in the communities. We have been working with these subpopulations, and they trust us.
Harris and her campaign understands the value of this built-in political infrastructure, and they're leaning into it. In July alone, Vice President Harris has spoken at the national conventions for 3 Divine Nine sororities. Harris is poised to leverage this voting bloc at a level we haven't seen from a presidential nominee before.
We're not waiting for someone else to tell us what to do and how to do it. We're creating our own playbook.
What is this going to look like in practical terms?
After church on Sunday, we go downstairs to the fellowship hall and register people that aren't voting. And for those seniors that can't stroll to the polls, we're going downstairs and we're going to get them an absentee ballot.
Knocking on doors, phone calls, text banking.
This coalition is politically sophisticated, digging into strategy for battleground states like Pennsylvania.
We really need turnout in Philadelphia, and we need it in certain pockets.
And sharpening the message to motivate voters.
When we say things like democracy is on the line, I think low propensity voters, they don't know what that means. So we have to have very simple talking points.
We also have white male counterparts that we also need to educate on how overly qualified this candidate is.
What I hear you saying is that the reach of the Divine Nine will not be limited to the Black community.
They believe this political moment will make history for America and the Divine Nine.
What people are going to walk away with is that our organizations are a force to be reckoned with.
And joining us now is Elsie Cook Holmes. She's the international president of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Welcome to Cityline, Elsie. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's great to see you, and thank you for having me.
Now, it's fair to say that Vice President Kamala Harris' presidential campaign has really energized the Divine Nine. She's addressed the national conventions of several Black sororities already, even though the groups are nonpartisan. So how is the leadership of your organization addressing that challenge?
Well, I will tell you, and we're excited because for Delta Sigma Theta, I think we started it off. She actually addressed our national convention last year in July of 2023, understanding not only the power of the Divine Nine, but understanding how we have long been on the fight for social justice. For this year, we have launched a massive combined voter registration, education, and mobilization drive. So that is all the D9 organizations together. And as you heard with that earlier clip, we represent over 2.5 million trusted messengers in our communities. We work in our communities day in and day out. We've long been on the fight for social justice. Delta Sigma Theta has been on the fight for women's suffrage, first of all, and voting rights in general since our founding in 1913. and all of our organizations have been doing this work for decades.
Madam President, if I could ask, what are the Deltas and other D9 organizations doing specifically to persuade more people to get to the polls? Describe some of the detailed talking points you'll be delivering.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, just making sure that we are educating not only our members, but we're educating our communities on the issues at hand. What is in stake? What is at stake? What is at stake for each one of us? Our economic justice, making sure that everyone gets a chance to participate just not the top 1%, if you will, making sure that our rights are protected. So rights to body autonomy, making sure our voting rights. We continue to talk about the importance of voting rights so that every vote counted can be cast. Every vote cast can be counted.
What about voter protection? How are members ensuring that all eligible voters are able to cast a ballot? You know, in many states, restrictive laws have been passed. How are you going to be educating voters around that?
In over 30 states, that has happened. So we are educating voters on the issues, again, and making sure that they understand the laws in their state, what it's going to take to make sure that their vote is counted, how to make sure that they are meeting the registration deadlines, that they're meeting the ID requirements, that the absentee ballot requirements, and all of the other things. And we have a special focus on our youth in terms of making sure that those who are in college will be able to still cast their ballots to be able to vote, and making sure that those 17-and-a-half-year-olds are able to know that they, as long as they turn 18 by election day, are eligible to vote as well. So just getting that message out of the laws in each individual state, along with Delta Sigma Theta is actually fighting some of these laws in the court as well. We're challenging the laws in the courts in Georgia, in Texas, and soon to be in Mississippi, because some of these laws really do impact marginalized communities. They impact women of color. They impact people of color. They impact people with disabilities. So it is absolutely critical that we really tackle this on all fronts: the education front, the focus on challenging the laws, and also the voter protection, so that our communities know they have somewhere to go if they want to challenge the fact that their vote is not being counted.
Certainly,
so
we would observe that your sorority and the others have empowered Black women and given Black women a stronger voice.
Most definitely. Most definitely. It is absolutely critical. We are excited about such a time as this. All of our organizations are nonpartisan organizations, but to have a member of the D9 and the opportunity to potentially see history being made. In fact, we have seen history being made already with respect to Vice President Kamala Harris seeking the office of the presidency and being a step away from the official nomination for the office of president by the Democratic Party. We're proud in Delta that she's following the footsteps of our Soror Shirley Chisholm, who in 1972 ran.
You know, speaking about Black women running for president, former President Trump falsely called the vice president's Black identity into question. Let's listen.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
So what was your reaction when you first heard those remarks?
My number one reaction is that things like that are a distraction. We know that those types of statements are made just to distract us from the real issues. But we also know, with the heritage of so many of us and so many of our families, that we have, we are multicultural, multi-religion. We have so many different things that make up who we are. And so we know that a person who was raised the way she was raised, who was a first in many efforts, who went to Howard University, the mecca of HBCUs, if you will, who was initiated into Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated,
There's no question. There's
you know,
no
the
question.
oldest Black sorority, there is absolutely no question.
Okay.
But the most important thing is we should not be distracted by things like this. We have to keep the focus on the issues.
All right,
we
Elsie.
can't cycle.
That's right. Keep the focus on the issue. Elsie Cook Holmes, International President of Delta Sigma Theta, thanks for joining us. And later this afternoon, you, along with other D9 leaders, are going to be speaking at a forum happening on Martha's Vineyard called Uniting Our Voices, Uniting Our Vote. That's at 4 p.m. at the Strand Theater in Oak Bluffs. Up